Hi, my name is Kevin Kenny, and about to start building the Granado. Um, it was one of the, not this particular ship, one that came afterwards called the Terror, but it was built on the same lines as the Granado. One of the ships that came to Trinidad as part of the British fleet to overthrow the Spanish in 1797. My great-great-grandfather was on that boat, and I thought, as a model builder, I would try to build as many of the ships that invaded Trinidad as possible. It was fantastic to find this model by Caldercraft, and this is going to just help you go through and perhaps make it an easier journey than the one I've had doing this. So here we go. This is out come the ribs, and we use a Proxon jigsaw to cut them out. Sand each one of them before, while we're dry fitting, before we stick them, to make sure that all the parts are just properly prepared. You don't get a second chance at doing this later on. I'm very lucky to have a nice big plan display drawing table, and that's allowed me to really spread these very big plans so I can get a pretty good idea of what needs to be done. So here we go. Let's just take a look at it. Here's the assembled frame, and the real issue was that I had very early on clock was I put frame number 7 in this slot here, and you have to put it in the back slot. So it wasn't very clear, even though the written book does tell you to be careful of it. My kit came without the book, so I made that fundamental early mistake, and then when I tried to fit these guys in, I suddenly realized I'd made an error. So I had to cut it back out, which wasn't too hard to do, but that was the first error. So you're going to stick in these false pieces here, which help shape the edge to take the gun port in, and that's, I use a Micromark has a nice little grinding wheel, which really made easy work of this, and then I finish it off with a regular flat piece of sandpaper or file. On the back we've done the same thing. We've sanded so that the gun port frame really fits very easily, and you can see beveling here, here, and here. The other thing that fascinated me, and I came to the conclusion, is this little bend that you see on the false rib here, here and here. I'm assuming that that's there so that no glue gets on it and attaches itself to the gun port frame, which would make it very difficult to come off when you have to cut them off. And here is the form. Really a fascinating tool and a great idea. I'm going to use this because it's going to help me with my other boats as I go along. I didn't put the blocks here. I probably should have. It would have made it easier to clamp, but I have lots of clamps, so it really wasn't an issue. And when you wet and you curve everything in, this is what you get after the wood is dried. I also use a blow dryer to speed up the drying of the wood after it's been wet and put in the form. And this is what it looks like when you have it all clamped up. Really a fantastic tool. Once you've stuck the frame, you do need to make sure that it's level, and so I tend to use a sanding block and making sure that all the ribs are level, so that when you actually go to put the planking on them, the planking is as level as possible from rib to rib. We're all dry clamped, and You need lots of clamps to do this. This will give you a pretty good idea. Most important one are those two orange clamps, because everything feeds back. You need to level those two and try and get the boards to line up with the top edge of the various frames, right through the back clamps. And then I'm going to use epoxy on these to make sure it's ready pretty good. Well, we're now going to take the clips off and see what we got. Well, there we go. I've stuck the starter. Epoxy has set, and it looks pretty good. We use pins to hold the front because we're already having trouble with the clamps. And we've now cleaned her up, and we're ready to start planking. It's ready. At this stage we're going to add the woodworm or termite treatment to the frame, simply because you can get to the main supports. This is Rent-A-Kill woodworm fluid, which is also termite fluid, but you can use any brand.